and welcome to day 7 of Demystifying the concept of emotional intelligence, and I'm once again back with the same energy and gusto, ensuring that we all are together in this journey of exploring our emotional intelligence and to work on those areas where there are possible chances of being weak. And today we touch on the second aspect of emotional intelligence, that social skills, the people skills, and the number one aspect that we are going to touch upon, the core element, is empathy. So what is empathy, if you ask, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another's. You need to feel for themselves and put yourself in another person's shoe. That is known as empathy. Types of empathy. There are 3 types of empathy that we're going to touch upon today, and that's cognitive empathy, having an understanding of how someone feels and what they may be thinking. Sensing others' feelings and taking an active interest is known as cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy, that is actually sharing the emotions of another person's ability to feel what someone else feels, is empathy. Compassionate empathy or empathetic concern, ability to sense what another person needs from you and you go and help that person. So these are 3 main types of empathy. Cognitive empathy, its ability to understand another person's perspective. Emotional empathy, ability to feel what someone else feels. And empathetic concern is ability to sense what another person from you. Again, Daniel Goleman describes 5 elements in empathy, which we are going to touch upon quickly. I have a lot of content to share with you. Stay tuned with the same excitement and vigor. The number 1 concept is understanding others. It is all about sensing other person's feeling and taking an active interest. Do you take the person for granted? Okay. Do you shut your ears when the person actually wants help from you? Okay, so if you are not doing this, then that means you have this core element ingrained. But if you are doing this, then you need to sit back and recheck with yourself, my dear friend. Because this is a very important aspect when you're working in a team, when you are in this environment. We are in a global family, so you need to have this skill of understanding others. Second is developing others. In a corporate setup, developing others is a very important core element. If you are a boss, if you're a team leader, if you're a manager, so this aspect of developing others means acting on their needs and helping them to develop their own core potential, an important element of leadership. And how do you do that? And here are 3 ways you can do that. Number 1 is by giving them active feedback. You have to give them constructive feedback, and feedback should motivate them to leverage themselves and not discourage them. Number 2 is you need to appreciate your team members. As we discussed earlier, you need to celebrate small wins with your team members. Appreciate what they do, because there's again a famous proverb which says that when you appreciate someone for the little things they do, they are empowered to do more than they have been asked for. And number 3 is, as and when required, you need to mentor and help them so that they're able to leverage their skills. The next important concept is having service orientation. If you're working in the sales team, that means you are putting your customers' needs in front of you and ensuring that you go the extra mile to give your customer that satisfaction. So that is known as customer satisfaction, having service orientation. In this rat race of business, in this business era, each and every entrepreneur or business organization is always working towards getting that customer satisfaction, because that's how you build an incredible and invincible organization. And this important element, having a service orientation, will help you to develop an extraordinary product where people, your customers, will ultimately do the word of mouth for you. So that is all about wowing your customers and giving them the best of your product, your service, and going the extra mile. The next is leveraging diversity. It's about being able to create and develop opportunity to different kinds of people. You may be having a team member of different, coming from different backgrounds. It's about celebrating all that is brought onto the table. We all have to work in teams and we need to synchronize. There has to be a synergy in the team, and that's how team by team the organization grows up. You need to have this diversity because each person has something best to offer to the table. You have to look at the positives and bring out the best, and that's the aspect which we are talking about, that is leveraging diversity. And political awareness. So here we're not talking about any general politics, but here it's about sensing and responding to a group's emotional undercurrents and power relations. So these are the 5 main ingredients of having an empathetic attitude. Number 1 is understanding others. Number 2 is developing others. Number 3 is service orientation, going the extra mile to wow your customers. Number 4 is being able to leverage your cultural diversity. And number 5 is political awareness. Okay, so now let's look on how empathy is the core ingredient for the success of the organization. So here we're going to talk upon 3 core aspects which we see in an everyday organization. So I hope you are with me and we're going to jump in straight. Number 1, why compassion is a better managerial tactic than toughness. So here I would like to share with you a research that was done. In a team, there is a leader. A team member commits a mistake in an important project, due to which the success of the project is hampered. The natural human tendency is that the leader will reprimand that team member. He will be angry towards him and also take some harsh actions. And a human inbuilt anger will be seen manifesting. That's the human tendency, natural tendency. But in another research that was done, there were some people who looked upon this situation as something other in another perspective. What did they do? They looked at this concept or at this entire picture from the glass of being compassionate, viewing the entire situation from a compassionate perspective. They first took a moment, they silenced themselves and with compassion told their team member, it's okay this time, you have learned from your mistake, let's not commit this mistake again. In doing so, what happens is your team member has a lot of loyalty against you. Okay, so when you act in compassion and curiosity, there is an increase in employee loyalty and trust. That person next time works 10 times harder to ensure that the project reaches its success destination. So that was a theory. I'm sure it is actually going to be difficult to practice, but once you look at this entire concept of being compassionate towards your team members in such situations, things are going to change. There is another research which says that when there is fear and anxiety in the body and when there are stress hormones that are more in the body, the cognitive ability, the ability to think creatively, decision making is hampered. That ultimately leads to a fair score in your project, again leading to some of the other pillars of your organization going into a negative way. So compassion is a better managerial tactic than toughness. You need to keep aside your toughness towards, you have to leave your toughness at home and come to your organization with a compassion ability, not being rude to your team member. We all have our own problems, we all have our own trials. But then once you leave your home, you have to leave all that at your home and come to your organization with a fresh, positive and a compassionate mindset. So here the author Daniel Goleman in his HBR review series of emotional intelligence in the section of empathy gives us 3 steps that you can take when you encounter such situation. Whenever you encounter that there is a problem in the situation and you are naturally wired to be angry, number 1 is you have to take a moment and silence yourself. So this first principle, you will be able to do it better if you have practiced the first principle that I taught you, that was about being self-awareness. You have to be aware and you have to regulate it. The second principle that I talked about in emotional intelligence. Once you do that, you have to put yourself in your team member's shoe. How would you feel if someone, lashed out at you? And number 3 is you have to forgive. Forgive and then move on. This will ultimately, you will be the hero in your team members' eyes. The loyalty quotient will ultimately increase, and then that person will naturally be driven to work in tandem with the organization's goals and objectives. So my dear friends, if you are with me, please raise your hands, and you have to affirm with me right now that you are going to be more compassionate. Henceforward, try doing it day by day. Okay, small wins day by day. Now let's go to the second aspect. Great managers have great listening skills. Now, what do you mean by great listening skills? Does it mean that you have to be, you have to nod your head as the person is talking, or you don't have to interrupt the person when he is talking? Well, these are the common myths, and I would like to break this myth by saying that these are not great listening skills. If you want to be a great manager, a manager which the company cannot even dream of losing, then again, Daniel Goleman in his HBR review series talks about the 3 active principles of good listening. Number 1 is you have to be an active listener and not a passive listener. So how do you be an active listener? Number 1 is interaction. So as and when the person talks, you have to maintain an eye contact with the person and interact with by telling yes, asking necessary questions where you have doubts. That's number 1. You have to have a cooperative conversation with the person. You have to nod your head. You have to converse with the person that, okay, yeah, this is fine, that's good, I like this point of yours. So this gives a positive affirmation to the person who is speaking. And you have to make suggestions towards the end when the person has completed his statement. So these are the 3 key principles you should take into consideration when you are listening to someone else. Okay, a very important concept of leadership again is that great leaders are great listeners. You have to listen. You have to listen, because only when you develop this art of listening, you will be able to better comprehend what the speaker wants to tell you. If you are in a rush to just want the person to, just stop talking and just rush in with your ideas, that's not how it works. Great managers again have great listening skills, interact, have a cooperative conversation, and make suggestions. These 3 key ingredients will help you to be a great manager with a great listening skill. And the very important thing is empathy, a key to greater meeting. Raise your hands if you have ever been to a meeting where you go to the meeting with all positive vibes and you come out of the meeting with low vibes. You are tired, you are drained. I have been there most of the times. And why does this happen? Because as there is a science which talks about mirror neurons. What is mirror neurons is if a person is having negativity, your neurons catch that sensation and you start feeling negativity. It is also known as the law of reciprocity, which is explained in the book The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt. So because of the negativity in the room, in the meeting, the other people are also drained out emotionally and they are not empowered as they come out of the meeting. So today I'm going to teach you how you can leverage this empathy attitude to ensure that are great meetings. So we all have the agenda clear. We know the time constraints as well. The leader of this meeting should be infused with positive emotions of hope and of compassion. He should be he should be hopeful, he should be excited for the meeting, because this ultimately will resonate at least with half or more than half of the people present in the room. So once this is set, you set the tone of environment of the meeting, the rest of the procedures fall in line. If you begin the meeting with a complaint or with a grunt, that's not how the meetings can lead you to a productive or effective solution. If you want your team members to go empowered with all the joy to carry on with their project, you need to have this ability of being excited and also having this hope and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is a core element. You need to be highly enthusiastic in energy, because that's how you will radiate the emotions. Also, there is, again, neuroscience talks that feelings have a direct correlation with the cognitive ability. So if there is a negative feeling, you will not think better. There will be a less of brainstorming and there will be a lot of fights in the meeting. But if you want the meeting to go in a very smoother pace with all positive ideas, great ideas, this can only happen if you have positive feelings in the room. Okay, for example, you are in a heated argument with someone before the meeting. Again, as I talked about, you need to be self-aware. You need to regulate your emotions, calm your emotions, have the positive mindset, and then enter the room of the meeting with positivity. This is the way how your positivity will ensure that all your team members, they go out with a joy and with smile. I'm sure that after this key principle, the meetings in your organization will be highly infused with positive energy and will be infectious. So my dear friends, here I am concluding by saying that empathy is very important for general well-being. You need to have this attitude of being empathy towards your family members and especially in your organization, because half of the time of your waking hours you are spending in your organization. So you need to have these core aspects that I talked about, as well as the 3 principles from the organization perspective. If you want, you can again go back and listen to it and try taking the necessary strategies in control. So what is the activity? The activity for today we all are going to check the empathy quotient. So empathy quotient is a psychological test or a quiz that was developed by Simon Baron Cohen at ARC, and this test will ensure and will help you where do you stand when it comes to empathy quotient. Please do take this test, and once you have taken this test, I want you to once again go through this entire video and work on those areas, right? So it all begins with you. It all begins with your perspective. It all begins on how you want to change yourself. Okay, if you want to make the best use of this course, it all depends on how you want to take the best out of what is put out for you. Okay, so get ready, take this quiz, and I promise you that if you start taking these little steps from today onwards, you are going to see a change within yourself, in your family, and in your organization. So that's it from my side, my dear friends. Thank you so much for your time and for so much of giving your resourceful time in this chaos. I am doing all the best that I can to ensure and to empower you in this journey. Today is day 7. I want you to take this EQ quiz, go back to this video once again, take the quiz, give your feedback, stay safe, stay healthy, and please follow all that is taught to you, and please drop in your queries if you have any. Thank you.